About 15 years ago, in a Boys and Girls Club in Fort Wayne, Indiana, I was teaching kids who had never held a violin before, and almost by accident, not by design, I discovered something that most professional musicians never learn in a lifetime of training. Three of the four pieces of tape on a beginner's violin, on a beginner's fingerboard, aren't just finger places, places where they're supposed to put their fingers, but they actually correspond to the second, third, and fourth harmonics of the overtone series. This is physics. This is the same math that governs planetary orbits and sound waves in a canyon. And once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. That accident became what I now call the harmonic matrix. And it's changed how I teach, how I play, and honestly, how I hear music itself. My name is Derek Reeves, and I am the principal violist of the Fort Wayne Philharmonic. I've been playing the violin and viola for over 50 years, and I've been a professional musician for well over 30 years. And about 15 years ago, I started an L Sistema-based program at risk youth in Fort Wayne, Indiana, where I live, and it's called Club O. And they are students that were beginners from third to fifth grade, and we basically had a bunch of violins that were acquired through the Our Foundation, this very generous foundation that had funded the program. And it was up to me to set the instruments up in the traditional way with the four little tapes that have guided beginning violinists since the days of the Suzuki method, probably even longer than that. And one day I was putting these tapes on new instruments when it occurred to me that these tapes actually corresponded to natural harmonics. And that kind of set in motion a series of inquiries as to why we still use tapes. Why are we using our eyes to find something that we should be training our ears to locate and our muscle memory? And so that's kind of got my gears turning. And then I started to notice more and more synchronicities between harmonics and music that I would play, or things that I was studying, or scales that I knew. And I had been playing professionally for well over a decade at that point, probably closer to 2 decades. You know, I was principal viola in a full-time orchestra, and I had a room full of 8-year-old kids showed me something, or allowed me to see something that my own training never really showed me. And I've had, you know, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I've had pretty great teachers. My musical great-grandfather was Ivan Galamian. My teacher Yuval Yaron at Indiana University studied with Jascha Heifetz and Joseph Gingold. I studied with Roland Vamos, who I got a great deal of performance and pedagogical information from. But no one really talked about the harmonic series. It was mentioned briefly in theory classes that I can remember as a student at Indiana University, but my violin teachers never talked about it. Etude books never really discussed it. Scale books, the same. What harmonics are resonant places on the string that divide the string into whole number ratios or proportions. For example, when you pluck a string, the note that you're hearing, in this case is C, is actually made up of lots of harmonics. It's kind of like how cells make up the human body, yet in each cell you have the DNA of the entire body. So in the same way, the note that we hear as C, we hear as a C because the overtone C is present more so than any other harmonic. So the first harmonic divides the string in half, okay? So that's called the first harmonic, and that's also a C. The second harmonic divides the string in thirds. The third harmonic divides the string in fourths. The fourth harmonic divides the string in fifths. The fifth harmonic divides the string in sixths. The sixth harmonic divides the string in sevenths. And a really cool thing about it is that the harmonics on this side, on this end of the string, are also mirrored on the opposite side of the string. And the more I discovered about this phenomena, the more it intrigued me. And I was convinced that there had to be some sort of grand unifying principle that could tie it together. Because any string player can tell you that there are some notes that are easy to find, some positions that are easy to find, and some that are a little bit more of a challenge. And I always would wonder why that was so. What makes some players so technically secure or so technically facile? Why do some people play more in tune more easily? What does playing in tune even mean? And so I came to realize that playing in tune is actually playing in such a way that you are in alignment or resonance, in alignment with the harmonic structure of the string, the harmonic structure of the piece of music that you're playing, the chord that is most active at the time, and that set into motion a musical journey that has led me to discover some things that I'm fascinated by, and now I really want to share what I found out. For teachers, this gives language for something students already feel but can't necessarily articulate. For everyone else, music isn't decoration on top of physics. It is physics, but made audible. So what I call this discovery and this whole network of interlaced harmonics, I call it the harmonic matrix. And it's not necessarily a new technique. I'm convinced that composers and artists like Paganini, Wieniawski, Vuitton, so many of the masters of the past had intimate knowledge of these principles. And I think that they put it into their music, sort of like Easter eggs for us to find. But to my knowledge, nobody has actually outlined it as a course of study. I guess I just happened to be standing in the right classroom when it became visible. So this is the first thread in something that I've spent years developing. I've written it all down in a book called The Harmonic Matrix Concept. And I'm building a free community of musicians and curious minds who want to go deeper into this stuff with me. The link is below, if that's you. I'll be unpacking more of this all month, and I hope to see you at the next one. Please hit the like button and subscribe.